Welcome to the Arsenal the Arsenal show. We are live, and you're going to be getting that throughout the show. So if there's any Tottenham fans that just happened to scroll past, I hope that hits you just as we put one of them videos on. It was a North London derby this weekend, and I'm sure if you didn't know, you've clearly been living under a rock or hiding because you're a Tottenham fan. It started off no Captain Arsenal, no Declan Rice. But if anyone was going to fix it, it was this man, Mikel Arteta. And did he fix it? He definitely did. Arsenal winning victorious 1-0 on the day, thanks to a Gabriel Magalhaes goal. Absolutely outstanding defensive performance of Arsenal, which led to Ange Postecoglou holding yet another L. The three times at White Hart Lane, or whatever it's called, the toilet.
Yeah.
3 times, 3-peat. Once again, Arsenal and London is red. North London is red. Steve, welcome to the show. How you feeling the day after?
Yeah, it's getting better each day. It's getting better each day because I'm hearing Tottenham fans talk after the game and the bit. Yeah, I've seen that one. The bitterness, mate, and some of the things coming out their mouth is just fantastic, and it's just laughable. Yeah, I mean, I love it. I love the little, pun you said there at the beginning of the show. Like our own Lego man, don't it? They call him Lego Head. He's done the job of the Bob the Builder and rebuilt the team and I'm loving it. I'm loving it, mate. I'm just loving that. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm just loving the Tottenham reaction afterwards. I watched one podcast and there was a guy and he was like, "Yeah, they ain't all that though, are they? Yeah, they're not that good. I think Liverpool are better. They play better football than them." And I was like, "Oh my God!" It was just, or Liverpool, Man City are better than them, and all like that. And it was just, they're
just salty, Steve.
Mate,
they're going to be salty for a while until we play them next time, and then we beat you again. It makes no difference. You were screaming to high heaven about how Ange Postecoglou was a better manager last season than Mikel Arteta. You try to do this sort of football maths where they equate the fact that Postecoglou was in the Premier League for 10 games and he'd got Tottenham unbeaten in those 10 games against Mikel Arteta, what he'd done over 3 or 4 years. The people doing the gymnastics to just jump through these holes to try and banter Arsenal, it's actually embarrassing.
They keep trying to compare, don't they? They're trying to compare. They're comparing Ange, comparing Tottenham with Arsenal, and they're like doing all they can. Do you know what I mean? Do you know when you're trying to get a shoehorn, you're trying to get it on your foot, and you're pushing, and you're trying to get this new shoe that you just paid loads of money for, and you're just constantly trying to sort of, and it was hilarious. I mean, before the game, with after game, before the game, but before the game, I was seeing these combined 11s. I was seeing these Tottenham fans, and they was really believing it. Like, oh yeah, Vicario. That was the first one, wasn't it? They was comparing it with Raya. Yeah, he's a better goalkeeper. Yeah, he's all day Vicario. Raya.
Oh, what this man behind who tried to put it on the shortest man on the pitch and got shown. He got told about himself very quickly.
Yeah. They called him they called the West Ham goal the Flappy Hansky, didn't they? Yeah. Fabian, this is what this guy was, and they bigged him up last season. He's useless. He's rubbish. And we kept hearing the football god that is James Maddison. Do you know what I mean? Leicester fans told me about Maddison when he left. They said, nah. I said, this guy goes missing all the time. And that's what he did again. He did nothing. He came in like the thing, there's no Rice, there's no Odegaard, you've got Maddison in there. He did nothing. He did absolutely nothing. And we could go through all the Tottenham side, and not one of them would get in the Arsenal side.
Not one of them. We don't need to do a combined 11 because look, what did Emmanuel Petit say? Emmanuel Petit said, how many Arsenal? I think he said, will Arsenal struggle with their players that are missing? He goes, how many players would you stick in the Arsenal combined 11, Arsenal Tottenham combined 11 with Rice and Odegaard missing, and they could only pick 2, and that was at a push. That was at a stretch. So he was like, okay, 2. So he goes, then how are Tottenham going to beat Arsenal? I mean, he put it in the most basic way, and he was right. He was right. There's no chance, and they couldn't.
No, there's not one. Yeah, okay, all right. Not even with like even with Arsenal side that went out there, I still argue. Look, we all look, Son was a great player, but I think even Tottenham fans are now saying there that over the last 2 years, Son has done nothing.
Yeah,
since Harry Kane's left, Son's been asked to, stand up, be the leader, and he's not. He hasn't stood up. And as for Ange, we'll get into him. Mate. Do you know what I mean? It's who we are, mate. But, better
who we are, mate. As he said, I'm going to be collecting all the videos of Tottenham fans that tried to tell us that Ange Postecoglou was a better manager than Mikel Arteta after 10 games in the Premier League. You'd think you'd learn. Constantly, people trying to compare Arsenal players, Arsenal manager with whoever's out there, and it just shows that they actually secretly rate Arsenal because players like Bukayo Saka have been compared to other players since Callum Hudson-Odoi. And how long ago was that?
Yeah.
And still you're flinging players at him and then laughing at us when we are saying the only person you can compare him to in the Premier League is Mohamed Salah. And that's right. And we're not saying he's better than Salah. What we're saying is you don't look down when you compare, you look up. And that's what you're all doing when you're comparing Cole Palmer and all these other players with Bukayo Saka. Trying your best to kick him off his perch.
Yeah, comparisons are difficult at night. When you're comparing someone like Saka with Salah, it's difficult because you're talking to someone who's 23 years old to someone who's like 33 years old.
Yeah.
There's a 10-year gap. So people automatically saying it's very difficult to compare, when there's such an age gap of the now, because you think Salah's probably never going to get any better, but Saka is going to get a lot better. Mm-hmm. So, but it's been brilliant, mate. I've just I've had a pretty quiet day today. I've not done too much work. It's been pretty quiet, and I've just got on YouTube and I've just been listening to the fans, and then there, I see a couple of podcasts before the game actually kicks off, and sorry to keep repeating myself, but the times they was bigging up their players and trying to compare them with ours was just ridiculous. Kulusevski and Saka was a good one. That was one of them. There's rather Kulusevski. But it's crazy, mate. If it's going to be a good week, this. Do you know what I mean? I've still got plenty of things to watch, and
of course, and don't let off, Steve. Don't let off at all. And of course, if you can remember any of the things that Tottenham fans have been saying, please bring them to this pod today because we can discuss, of course. But I've got my own a few things that I've seen a lot of Tottenham fans have a gripe about. One of them we'll get onto in a bit was the Jurrien Timber situation, which they are quite seriously really upset with. So we're going to be discussing that. First of all, we've got to talk about the North London derby and how well everyone played. And then we'll be getting on to the Champions League preview as Arsenal take on Atalanta this Thursday in a very, very tough opening game for the Champions League. Steve, first and foremost, we discussed it yesterday, but we're going to discuss it today for all the Arsenal fans out there watching now. Great win, not necessarily going forward, but as a whole, it was the team working together perfectly, defensively sound. Mikel Arteta marshalling the team to keep them compact throughout. It was some would say a defensive masterclass.
Yeah, it's a good word, mate. Or good 2 words. Defensive masterclass. Pretty much what it was. And it just there was the build up before the game. There's always worries in this type of game, but it was funny because after about 20 minutes, it was like he was watching Tottenham. He just didn't think they was going to score, and we looked so. We just didn't look worried. We were solid. We had our 2 banks of 4. Do you know what I mean? And we just said to them, just come on and try and get past us. And look, they had a couple of chances. Rayo had to make a couple of saves. Ben White, made a bit of a ricket, early in the game, which is unlike White normally. But in the end, it never came to anything. Saliba sort of got Saliba to thank for that. He sort of got in a good tackle, or he sort of put him off. But it was an excellent performance. I think I said like last week, I felt that Jorginho and Partey would have been the best partnership there. Looking at it after the game now and the way the game went, I think that was the best partnership to have. I was a little bit concerned about the left back. We should pay Calafiori. I mean, what do I know? I mean, Timber was absolutely outstanding.
Wasn't he?
I mean, I can't. Do sometimes there's a performance, and maybe it's because we haven't seen a lot of Timber yet, and we were all sort of like, getting excited and biting at the bit to see him. But it was one of those performances from Jurrien Timber that I'm going to remember for a long while, because it was one of them. It's not to put lightly. I mean, it was like a wow moment. It was like,
I think it made people stand up and pay attention to this guy who.
Yeah.
Last season was a season where, let's go back. The season before was a season where Arsenal first had their Premier League title race against Man City out of nowhere. The following season was it was like an open opportunity to ridicule Arsenal and Arsenal fans, and a lot of what people were saying was that Arsenal aren't missing key players, and would point out the fact that Thomas Partey wasn't a key player, that Jurrien Timber wasn't a key player, that Jesus wasn't a key player. And it's just like, come on, mate. It's a reach there. Jesus from the season before, who was one of the catalysts for the reason why we had our Premier League title race, and him falling out of having an injury towards the end of the season was the reason why we fell off up top. The reason why Jurrien Timber coming in to replace Zinchenko, who had an outstanding pre-season Timber, and then gets injured in his first game. Thomas Partey, who was arguing was one of the best midfielders in the Premier League in that previous season, was out for most of the season. Yet people want to try and claim that Arsenal weren't missing key players. Well, you saw yesterday how much of a key player that Jurrien Timber is going to be for this Arsenal team. Absolutely outstanding performance.
I mean, you've worded it, perfectly, mate. As I said, it was one of them wow moments, because you're looking at everything. I think we're both, when we watching Arsenal, we're watching every kick, every move, where they're moving on the pitch. We're there, those type of fans. And watching Timber yesterday, I was all, on his left foot, he was solid. On his right foot, he was solid. When he was like, when he went forward, and the move broke down, and this is something that stood out, and it's probably stood out because it's probably been one of our weaknesses over the past maybe season or even 2 seasons. That when we do lose possession and the other team do break quickly against us, sometimes we got caught out on his left. But the pace on 2 or 3 occasions where he's got back, do you know what I mean? When he has gone forward and he's given he's a player like a little bit of space, he's got in front of him, and he's got back and he's won the tackle, or he's unbelievable. There was everything. I was testing him during the game. I was testing him. What are you going to do now? How are you going to cope with this? and I was like, tick, 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 tick. He just coped with everything. And I think in big games like this, do you know what I mean? It's even more impressive because you ain't going to get many as big as away to Tottenham. He knows how much it meant to the fans as well. That was another big thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When it was the ruckuses going on, Timber was there. He was in the middle of it. He was pushing. He was grabbing. He was like, don't you mess with my mates and something like that. And similar to what Havertz, it's great that these new players are coming in, new signings, and straight away they know what games mean. They know what it means to play Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Years in the past, players have come in and they don't really know. Do you know what I mean? A lot of players haven't really had that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Timber's he was fantastic, and he's only going to get better for me. Do you know what I mean? There's much more to come.
100%, I agree, and it was almost as if no matter what form we was in yesterday, the effort that everyone put in was solely for the team. It wasn't about individuals.
Yeah,
it was about a team effort. Everyone was doing their running. Everyone was defending and tracking back and covering positions. And like I think you mentioned Havertz the other day. Saka very similar in terms of just the work rate up and down. Martinelli, yes, he was frustrating with some of his final decisions. Should have crossed the ball to Saka. But I see him make a 45, 50-yard run back to the fullback position to help Timber on the covering. And like those sorts of things that when you're not in the best form, it's not about hiding. It's about doing what you can. Because sometimes you can play yourself back in. And that could just be by some simple passes, simple balls, and the next thing you know, you put one in the back of the net, or you set up an assist, and you found a little bit of confidence. And I think games like the North London Derby are the kind of games where you can get your confidence back up, where you can do something little, and it turns out to be big. So I'm hoping that some of those players who maybe haven't been in the best of form to start the season, yesterday's game is going to help them.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I mean, you mentioned Saka there. I mean, and his work rate. I mean, that was something like I think last season he was sort of, especially at the beginning, where we've always thought that yes, he's great going forward. That's what Saka does: assists, goals. But maybe not you, but I always felt his defensive abilities needed working on. Do you know what I mean? I didn't think he was. He certainly, had the endeavour. He always was getting back. He wasn't someone who never rushed back to get the ball. He was always done that. But once he needed to play it out, a lot of times he would give the ball away. But I think it was right. I can't remember who said it now. I think it might have been on TalkSport, someone on TalkSport, but I totally agree with him. He's probably now, on the right hand side forward, probably one of the best defensive forwards going in the game. And that's testament to him, because as I say, I felt that that was something that he lacked, that he needed to improve on. And that's another thing, isn't it? The players that are improving now, every single week. We're talking about Ange and we talk about Ten Hag. Who have they improved? Who's got better? These are the two managers that other rival fans are trying to compare with. Do you know what I mean? And none of them have improved the player since they've been at the clubs. Arteta comes in and he just changes, makes players better. All the time. Look at Havertz at Chelsea. Look, Saka couldn't defend, and there he does. Look at Jorginho. Didn't have a really great time in his final year. Comes in. Can come in, if he's playing against City on Sunday, we'd be right. Yeah, that's fine. And we can go through that.
Gabriel,
Saliba,
they're all progressing. Ben White, David Raya in his 1 year here. I'm excited to see where Timber goes. He's a class act, and from what we've seen in pre-season, last season. And what we've seen of him at Ajax, he's a player that gets in and around the box. He's very, very busy. He's just all over the pitch, and I think he could be an absolute game changer for us.
Yeah, I think Jorginho and Partey's what they did yesterday on Sunday went a little bit under the radar from what I'm people. I've seen a few people say, "Oh, they didn't really have good games," and I disagree with that.
I disagree with that. I do feel like sometimes people are looking for a perfect game, or they're looking for imperfections in the game, and they go, "Oh yeah, 23rd minute he misplaced a pass here, and 25 minutes he should have passed earlier, nearly got caught on the ball." I'm like, this is not how football works. It's not how football works. No. Every now and again, once, twice, 3 times in your career, you had the perfect game where you've made no mistake. Every pass was crisp. Every shot was on target. You scored a hat trick. It rarely happens. You're happy with a great game, a good game. Like I just feel like some people are just looking for something to point out because they're not their favourite player.
Yeah. No, I mean, again, it wasn't one of them. It was a game where, we set up. You'd have to be a blind man not to see the way we set up. Do you know what I mean? We set up for them for the opposition to come on to us and for us to hit them on the break. So it was never going to be like an Emirates game where, we're going to pass it around all day long, make chances, like 10, 11 chances a game. It was never going to be there. We knew what we did. Arteta's gone there, right? We went there last season. We won playing a certain way. He's going to be silly not to go there and play that way again, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? So that's what he's done. I see a comment from someone saying that, Havertz had a quiet game. Did we pay £65 million for someone who just works hard and plays the ball off and brings people into play? I thought, what a ridiculous comment.
What's that even matter? It doesn't even matter. Well, just works hard, gets the ball down, keeps it simple, never loses it, brings the people into play. That is what you spend 65. Well, you can spend £65 million on Dominic Solanke. Now, I may be being harsh because he's only just joined the club.
Yeah.
There's levels there, mate. There's levels there. Kai Havertz is a much better footballer than Dominic Solanke. Whether you want to say he's a better striker or not, he's a much better footballer than Dominic Solanke. And Arsenal will get more out of Havertz than Tottenham will get out of Solanke with 10 years plus.
100%. We could say Dean Windass is a better striker than Havertz. And do you know what I mean? Because that's probably his job.
Position. His
position. But as a whole all-round footballer for a top 6 title-chasing side, there's players that are better strikers that wouldn't even get on the bench at Arsenal. It doesn't work. How many during the transfer window? We've got to have a striker. We've got to have a striker. I think we'd probably only show. I think me and you, how many times we've always said, "Well, do we need a striker?" We didn't think. I'm just saying both of us didn't think Osimhen was the right man. Both of us didn't think Tony was the right man. We knew that because of but you go online and you would have thought that me and you didn't know what we was talking about, but we knew.
Well, what Arsenal aren't doing is they're not forcing it. They wanted Sesko. They wanted Gyökeres. Gyökeres' transfer fee was too much. Isak's transfer fee was too much. Sesko signed a new contract when we was ready to push a button. So where do we go? Getting Ivan Toney for 3 seasons. Ivan Toney wants to sign a 3 or 4 year deal. How'd you get Ivan Toney, who will be 31 next season, who will want 300 grand a week, or 250, let's just say, because we're Arsenal and he was on 25. How do you get him off the books once the other striker becomes available, which could have potentially been next season? And this is what people don't think about. It's all just get it, just do what it takes. Just we need something now. No, but that's the problem. We've been there where we thought about them now, and we couldn't get rid of them now. 3-4 seasons on.
Yeah, when you're in Arsenal position, now the last thing you want to do is panic buy. You don't need to panic buy, right? At the beginning, like of Arteta's reign, you've got you can go into a shop. Do you know what I mean? It's like, everything lights up. You go, I'll have that, I'll have some of that, I'll have that. See if that works, and you can pick and pick and pick and pick. But that's not the way Arsenal are now. Now you're walking into Harrods and you're like, right. I've got everything in the wardrobe. You know, what is the right thing there? What do I need? Do you know what I mean? I don't need loads of stuff. And this is where Arsenal are. You know, it's got to be the right, you know, the right player. And for me, I think Havertz is the right player. And I think Arteta thinks he's the right player for our system. Do you know what I mean? It's Arsenal play. We've got a lot of players who score a lot of goals. You know, around, you know, in the team. And if you're bringing in a top £100 million striker, that's a big risk. It's got you know, a big risk. Okay, look, Gyökeres, I think, you know, Arteta likes. He likes a lot, but not 100 million. He's don't. You know, probably the only one that fits it. He'll pay a lot of money for is Isak. You know, but he's got a dodgy injury record. He gets injured about 3 or 4 times a year. So I even think Isak's someone who's not, who could be in, you know, someone who we in the end don't buy. You know, we could be looking at someone a bit up and coming. You know, Havertz is only young. We've got a young team. It's more about squad players, and I think that's why in the end we was, you know, sort of hell bent on going for Sisco. You know, and because he wouldn't be starting, but we was prepared to pay money for him. But yeah, back to the game, mate. I thought it was brilliant, and yeah, everyone played their part. I don't think there was a bad performance, mate. I thought we was fantastic, and I worry for Tottenham. I worry because I just don't see, you know, where they'd end up this year. We did a show yesterday, and it was funny. Both me and Garth, we never even put them in our top 6, 7. You know, so and it was only after the show that, you know, I realised
that Tottenham weren't in it.
Yeah, exactly. That they weren't even in it. So Ange's under pressure. You know, he's got this attitude, you know, of like, you know, this is the way we've got to do things, and you know, and it's not going to work that way. You know, I can't.
It was the media darling last year, and for me, he got found out pretty quickly. I'm sorry, you can't. Honestly, it was crazy to me that Tottenham fans thought it was genuinely okay that when you went down to 9 men and the score was, 10 men and the score was still a draw, that you attack as freely as you did, sitting a high line about 5 yards from the halfway line. With 9 men, you continue to do the same thing, and then praised him for being brave. Mate, there's brave and there's stupid. And I said multiple times, how long until people wise up to this and actually call it out for what it is? It's ill discipline, it's poor coaching, and it's not great management at all. You can talk about all you want about it's exciting football, rah rah rah. What? When does it stop? When does it stop? Like you can't manage a game out. You can't see a game out. That's a big problem. There's one way playing exciting, expansive football, but if you've got 5 minutes to go and you're 1-0 up, why are you drawing 1-1? Why are you losing 2-1? And it's happened multiple times. This is not just a once or twice. It happened about 5 or 6 times last season where Tottenham conceded late goals, and everyone's trying to tell me this is the second coming. Like, get out of it. Get out of it, mate. Get out of town.
Look, he's too stubborn, mate.
He's too stubborn. 100%.
I mean, but he is. He's too stubborn. He came in last season and he said, "Look, I don't care what anybody thinks. You know, I don't care if we get beat. This is what I'm going to do. This is who I'm going to play. You know, if you don't like it, then basically too bad." You know, he genuinely believed that, you know, he comes into the Premiership and he can play this type of football and beat some of the best teams around and outsmart some of the best managers. And that's ridiculous. You know, you're coming in, you know, you're just a young, you know, young for a manager, and you're got found out. And we can see that, you know, you haven't got the ideas to be a top manager for me. And you know, you can similarly to say that to, like, you know, Ten Hag, you know, he's came in, you know, and he's tried his best. It's not his fault, but to me, they're like, these two are like similar, very similar. Ten Hag for me, I think we know. We said last night on the Transfer Exchange show that you know, I thought anyway that, you know, you're an Eredivisie manager. You know, you can't come and play the Ajax way and do this and think, because he's come in and thinks he's better than everybody. Oh, I'm better than this. I do this. I've won 2 cups and all this nonsense, right? And just come in from the Scottish League, right? And expecting that, and the Australian League, and expects that his way of football can be played in the Premier League. They're like yin and yang, the two of them. Like the two of them are like twins. You know, they need to go back. Tenor needs to go back to the Eredivisie. He needs to go back to the Scottish Premier. Because if they don't change their ways, then, yeah, that's right.
Well, how long will the Yin Yang twins last in the Premier League? Not long, in my eyes. Not long at all. One of the things that Tottenham fans are massively annoyed about yesterday is Jurrien Timber. And Jurrien Timber putting his hands on Vicario like this. After literally about 10 seconds earlier, him being yellow carded, what eventually became a yellow card on Pedro Porro. Yeah. They've compared it to Curtis Jones' foul on Tottenham last season, where he got sent off. They've also compared it to Casemiro. Man United fans chiming in and comparing it to Casemiro and saying, Consistency is only last week you was talking about consistency, and all of a sudden you don't want consistency. Well, this is the stills that people keep going with. Notice how the one with Curtis Jones, they've stopped
it's not at the leg, man.
At the leg, the contact with the leg, yeah. At Jurrien Timbers, they've stopped the picture or taken the still at the point where does it even touch Pedro Porro's leg? Well,
sad those, mate.
Well.
Right. That's not even touch. Mate, it's not even a yellow card for me.
And you want to go even closer? Not even a foul.
It's not even a yellow. It's not even a foul.
Even a foul. There we go.
Yeah, it's not even. Yeah, ball. He touches the ball before he touches his foot.
He doesn't even make contact with his foot. Really, Pedro Porro was down for about 3 or 4 minutes after that. It's absolutely embarrassing, screaming and rolling around.
Like he should have been booked. He should have been booked. But again, I think the referee. But he did. I think the referee, like, because of the crowd, going mad, and Tottenham fans trying to get like a bit of an advantage. Mm-hmm. I suppose all teams do it, but we take each one in isolation. Do you know what I mean? This particular incident, it wasn't, for me, it wasn't even a yellow card, and it's not even a yellow card, and most people saying it was. I don't think it was even that, and then they're trying to get Timber sent off because he's grabbed Vicario.
Yeah, which come on, Vicario got in his face first, and he retaliated. You can't. I'm sorry, if a referee wants to start sending off players for this, in a North London derby, we're in trouble. Football's gone. Like we're not. Look, I understand. There's a level of footballers are deemed as role models. So when you're on the pitch, you should be setting an example for kids. But if I see something on the pitch that I don't agree with, am I allowing my kid to go onto their football pitch and do the same thing? No. If I am completely against what I've seen on the pitch and the kids watching it, I'm telling them there and then that don't run. We don't do that in football. We don't do that. You don't copy that when you play football on Sunday. And this is where the parents should be coming in. You shouldn't just be blindly allowing your kids to see that and then go on a pitch on Sunday and start grabbing up kids. No. You say, no, he's lucky he got away with that there. And plus, it's a derby. It's a big rivalry. You can't be sending off players for that.
Yeah, what is it? Do you know what I mean? You've got, if you're in non-contact sports soon, isn't it? You've got to have some kind of passion, haven't you, in football? If you took away the passion, that it would be nothing. I mean, they're doing it now for like, soon the referee, like a player says a little bit something to referee, I mean, I don't know, it was booked the other day, but I can't remember who it was now. But he's literally gone up to the ref and gone to literally, oh, come on, ref. Do you know what I mean? Was that a yellow card? You know, that you could read the guy's lips, and he's given him a yellow card for like just like questioning and saying. I mean, what? Yeah. You say like the game's dead. If that's what where are they trying to take the game?
Yeah.
You know, where you, I mean, I can remember when I played, you go up to the referee, you used to say, oh, for fuck's sake, ref, is that really a yellow card? And you used to say, well, yeah, he did. Now you're getting booked for it, and then you're getting like a yellow card later in the game, and you're getting sent off.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting a bit ridiculous, but yeah, I mean, for me, that's just a nothing, the pair of them, and the media's got a lot to blame, you know, for keep showing it over and over again and talking about it over and over again. You know, it's I mean, I can't. It wasn't even a conversation for me, you know. Even if it was like, you know, the Tottenham player, you know, on the other side of the coin, I'd be saying the same thing. Do you know what I mean? But
you'd be embarrassed. Once you saw that and you was like, oh, come on. You'd be embarrassed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can't. Okay, yesterday you thought it in it while it's live, you're thinking, oh, he's a bit lucky there. But once you saw the replay, you might be like, oh, okay, his foot went over the ball. When you saw it the next day, you should be deleting those tweets where you're saying.
But the thing is, Piers, when you see Timber like watching it live and you see him do that, I mean, I was worried. And I was worried. I shouldn't be worried, should I?
I was worried because it looked like they said, it looked like the Curtis Jones one. But when they showed it again, it wasn't. He didn't touch the player like that. There was no studs into the player. He's literally got the ball. He's done what Curtis Jones tried to do, but he's won the ball and he hasn't nicked the player at all.
No, but what I meant really was like the first, once I see the replay of the
once you saw the replay, you were still worried.
No. Once I see the replay of that, and I was like, nah, this not sending off because they was working about if he's studied him, didn't they, at the beginning of it. And I was looking at it, and as soon as I stood it, I went, nah, if VAR's looking at that, there's no way he's getting sent off for that. Yeah. But what I meant was you worried? Was you worried when Timbers grabbed Vicario?
I didn't think about it.
I was, and I shouldn't be worried for that.
Yeah, it would have been crazy because we would have been in the same situation with what Mike Oliver did, where he sent off Martinelli for the blocking of the throw, and then in the same motion, 7 seconds later, he booked him for a yellow card for a trip. Like, I think you just got to use your brain because, like you said, that's not happened since. So for it to happen again against Arsenal, when we've seen multiple times players make a foul, then give another foul, like 5 seconds later, we don't see multiple yellow cards come out and red. It's like it's just no. This is why the best referees have always been referees that would talk to a player, would warn them, like you're on your second yellow, that's one more. Things like that. So it's you're not dictating how this game goes. Look, if a player legitimately deserves a yellow card, I don't think they should be getting a warning. I don't think it should matter whether it's the first minute of the game or the last minute of the game.
Would you accept? Go on, mate. Sorry.
But if it's a yellow, it's a yellow.
Yeah, definitely. Now, would you accept, like, if like you would get a yellow for something, you know, normal, not too serious, but making the second yellow, you know, a bigger gap, if you like.
Yeah, well, that's what they spoke about. That's what they spoke about. They spoke about that on Sunday. They said,
oh right,
they said because the first foul, because what he done is, I think there was a few niggly fouls, and then he went, I'm done with that, yellow card. And the first foul from a Tottenham player wasn't that bad to get yellow card. But then afterwards, he had to go yellow card, yellow card, yellow card to everyone who did a similar foul.
Yeah,
and then the pundit said, is it a point now where the second foul or the second yellow card has to be more than the first now. And they went to whoever the referee was and said, I think the referees have got to be smart here. Otherwise, they're going to end up sending multiple players off, which you don't want to do. You want to try and manage the game. And that second foul needs to be something that's more serious than the original. So maybe that did save Timber. But for him to get a second yellow for that, and people the second week or running, we're going to be hearing, but it's a letter of the law. It's like...
They're making a rod for their own back, aren't they?
They are.
It was similar with the Rice one, wasn't it? The first one, I think we all admit, was a yellow. Mm-hmm. And then that second one didn't warrant a yellow, did it? No. Do you know what I mean? And that's where, if you're going to give... the second one's got to be something... To send someone off for a second yellow, it's got to be... something naughty, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's like I've seen, we've got City this week, isn't we? We go back last season with the Kovacic tackle on Odegaard. Do you know what I mean? Which was a definite red card. Just a straight red, the second tackle on him. But he, got nothing. They need to get it right because they need to get it right.
They do. One person who got it right this weekend was Arsenal's ball boy.
In fact, it already has. Keep your eye on the mascots here. There's the Arsenal one getting involved. Leave our players alone. Pleased to say, peace has been restored in the Tottenham tunnel. They're keeping a close eye on him. He's a live wire.
He's taking a lot of them on. He's on his own as well. He's fearless.
Of course, it's slightly different today because we've got.
You gotta love that. You gotta
legend,
love
that.
Legend, absolute legend. And there's more of that footage as well. He's seen pushing 5 or 6 of the Tottenham mascots, giving a high five to the kit man as he walks back in off the pitch. He was ready. He was ready for war that day, and he set the tone. He definitely set the tone. Now on to the Champions League with the new format, which sees Arsenal playing on Thursday, Sunday. Boo! Especially when Manchester City will be playing tonight.
Tomorrow, isn't it?
Playing tomorrow. So they get an extra day's break. But under the new format, teams will play 8 matches in the new league phase, which was the former league phase, group phase. They will no longer play 3 opponents twice, home and away, but will instead face fixtures against 8 different teams, playing half of those matches at home and half away. To determine the 8 different opponents, the teams will initially be ranked in 4 seeding pots. Each team will then be drawn to play 2 opponents from each of these pots, playing 1 match from a team of each pot, home and away. Steve, you've seen the new format. You've seen who we're set to be playing. We've got Atalanta and PSG amongst many others. Do you think how do you think this new format will impact Arsenal's chances of reaching the latter stages of the Champions League?
Well, we'll probably see. At the moment, I just don't know why they just keep changing things. Do you know what I mean? I enjoyed the other way. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the old format. So I'm very skeptical on how this is going to affect us. There's obviously going to be more games. That could end up being a good thing because it gives our players, fringe players, maybe a few. By 6 games we might be certain to go through, or something. We might be high up in the league, and we can play, a few fringe players, and then wary and stuff. Who I don't know. I'm hearing today that they may even start him on Thursday, which was a little bit of a. But we'll see if Arteta's big and brave enough to throw him in. But it's a matter of it's a wait and see thing. But yeah, look, it's 8 games, isn't it? Is it 8 games we got to play? 4 home, 4 away, is it?
Yeah,
is that what it was? I can't even remember.
PSG, Shakhtar Donetsk, Inter
PSG
Milan, Sporting, Monaco, Dynamo, Zagreb, sorry, 1 minute blank, and Girona.
Yeah, it's not a bad 8 games, is it? You know, PSG is
it's the tricky ones in there, though.
The Italians, what we got? The Italians, we've got them. Inter Milan's going to be. Is it Inter Milan? We got
Inter Milan away from home, Atalanta away from home, Sporting away from home could be a bit tricky. Home games against Monaco, Dynamo Zagreb, Shakhtar, we should do well. And PSG have had a really good start to the season this season with no one back there.
Yeah, which is like, you know, speaking to a few people who are into their French football, are not surprised by that. Funny enough, they had the feeling that the PSG would be a better team without Mbappe. And I mean, Real Madrid have had a pretty poor start, haven't they? You know, by their standards in their league, I think they've lost 1-2, haven't they? Or something like that. They're about 5 points behind Barcelona already. So, and Mbappe may rule his choice to go in there. But, a long way to go. But, look, it's a matter of where. I mean, there's some hard games in there. PSG at home, away, Inter Milan away. That's going to be difficult. Hopefully I'll be having a few friendly chats with our friend Nima. You know, massive Inter Milan show. I'm sure we'll be able to come on the podcast as we get closer to one of the games. The legend who he is. But I'm interested. I'm used to see how it pans out. Will it help us? I don't really know. We'll just take it game for game. We really should. I think we could really get points out of all the games. You know, I fancy us. Teams like Girona, we should be beating. But Monaco, is another team we should be beating. Although I do remember a few years ago when they knocked us out, didn't they, at the Emirates? I think they beat us 3-2.
A lot of these sides. Sporting Lisbon knocked us out of the Europa League a couple of seasons ago. Monaco we've had trouble with. We've definitely played Dynamo Zagreb before, but I think we smashed them out of the park. Obviously, the classic Inter game with Christian Vieri and Obafemi Martins in the first leg and the second leg. Ali Adier, Henry, and who else was it who scored? 4-1.
Perez, was it?
I think it was, Perez. Shakhtar, don't remember playing them really. PSG, obviously the Cup Winners' Cup, was it semi-finals or quarter-final? And Atalanta, again, not really a team.
Hopefully Giorgis don't come back to haunt us.
It'd be good to see the level against our defenders, though, wouldn't it?
It will be, Hopefully he doesn't get the better of them. But he's certainly a player I like. He seems to be one of the players in Europe that's just similar to Haaland, who just absolutely just keeps scoring for fun, doesn't he?
Sometimes when you've got someone who's that confident in front of goal, it translates across all leagues. If they've got the general attributes to be that they can find pockets of space and things like that. And look, we've seen him do it in the Championship, which is a very tough league to do anything in. And he's doing it in Europe as well, which is another litmus test for his actual quality.
I don't really know how it's going to. I don't think any team's going to know whether it'll be good for them or bad for them. I'm excited. Do you know what I mean? Excited. By the time the group stage is over, we might enjoy it or we might not have. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of games. It's certainly going to be a lot of football to watch. And I think the biggest bonus out of it is that we hopefully we might be able to bring on a few of the players like Lewis Skelly in some games and Nemweri as well, because it's very rarely these players will get a chance to play in the Champions League, and especially knowing how special these guys are and how good they are. I think we're all champing at the bit to see. We've already seen Nemweri, do well when he came on Sunday. I think the next thing is now, what can he do it on a Champions League game? Obviously, we need to see him a full 90 minutes in the league and stuff. But it's going to be good. What do you feel? Do you think it'll go like? Are you interested? Do you think it'll go one way or the other for us? And
What the Champions League format?
Yeah.
I honestly, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out. Like it's completely new to me. Like it's definitely come off the back of the Super League. The Super League format didn't make sense to me anyway, and it seems like they want the big teams to play each other, so it's more of a spectacle for fans out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's like once the league's over, it goes into the last 16 again, doesn't it?
Yeah. So if you get through into top 4 in this league, you have a nice little break in it, and you go into I don't know how it was. I think you go into the knockout stage if you're not in the top 4, or you go into another group stage if you're not in the top 4. You go to a knockout stage if you are in the top 4. I don't know how it works. It's going to take a few years to probably actually see how it works in my head. It's not going to change, so you better get used to it. Do you remember when it changed from the Europa, the European Cup to the Champions League? Do you remember? Was there much uproar then? I'm sure there was.
Yeah, there was, mate. But I think that. I mean, I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's the league. The winners of the league, and that should be it." But I must admit, I like. At first it was like, again, anything with change, isn't it? In football, we don't like it, didn't it? It's the same with VAR, isn't it? Oh no, I don't like that. Anything new to football, we're all very wary and skeptical of, because we've got so used to over the years of they're going to change the offside. What? Well, no, we don't like that. We never like anything. But I think once the Champions League did get kicking, I think I personally enjoy it. I enjoy it.
I prefer this more than a knockout competition. We got to see what the knockout competition was like during COVID, and it was enjoyable. It has its own. It has its own sort of.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
it has its own quirks, but I like this idea. I like the idea of the Champions League.
Because it ended up being a knockout competition.
But you get to see your team more. You get to see your team. Potentially play some of the other fringe players if you're already through in the group stage. We often see upsets. It's entertaining, so I get it. So look, I off the bat, the new format says to me, "What the hell's going on?" Let's revert back to type. But let's just see how this goes.
That's human nature. That's human nature with football fans. We don't like nothing.
Yeah, we don't. But we get to see Arsenal take on the likes of PSG. Inter Milan. Yeah, so look, I can't really complain. Should be really
good. And even that game on Thursday, that's going to be ain't going to be easy. It's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough, and it's good to see Arsenal play against some of these tough teams as well, because it helps us. It brings up the level, and especially when you're seeing Ethan Nwaneri come on. It's good to see. It'll be nice to see him get some minutes. Even if it's just at the end of the game.
Do you know what I want to see now? I mean, Ethan Nwaneri, he's probably the first player since probably the Saka, that we really sort of this guy could be really special.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? So it's the first time I've had that. That feeling of here's a young guy. We've not had that, have we, Arsenal?
Mm-hmm.
We've not had that player who's 16, 17, who we feel that we had it with Fabregas before Saka. Then he was like Fabregas, Saka, and now there's Nwaneri. So there's been big gaps between those type of players, and now we've got that guy again. And I mean, you've probably seen a lot more of Lewis Skelly than what I have. I'm a bit, sort of. I've not seen much of him, so I can't comment on how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
So, but very excited, and if we can get him in a couple of games, Nwaneri, or bringing him on for 20 minutes, I'm excited by that, and I think this format could allow that to happen.
I agree. Now, before we go, Steve, on to some transfer news that's come out. I know you posted a story earlier on about Victor Gutierrez. Could potentially be an option for Arsenal in January, but
yeah,
even so, going forward in the summer, it seems like Victor Gyokeres is a target for Arsenal again.
Yeah, he's been a target for Arsenal for a long while now. He was the reasons that I was told that nothing happened is because they'd sold they've already sold a big player, Sporting, and basically they didn't want to sell another one.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of posturing at the moment from the president of Sporting, and they're doing the usual 100 million chat. I've spoken to someone very close to Portuguese football, who's a source who knows people at the club, and he's told me that Arsenal are going to continue watching him. They're going to continue scouting him. I've had a few people say to me, "Well, why are they scouting him? Why are they scouting? Haven't they done enough scouting at him?" Well, that's well, it's not silly because you either know or you don't. But the reason why they're doing that is this is the Portuguese league, and they want to see if he keeps on doing what he's doing. Do you know what I mean? If they started to watch consistency, do you know what I mean? And if he continues doing it this season, then when it comes to January, they're going to go to him. There is a price. Arsenal will be looking at around about 40 million. And again, I keep hearing, Arsenal are not going to pay 100 in January and all that. No, they won't. They won't pay 100 January. But as I said, the summer club's posture. Do you know what I mean? They make their players 100 million. We've seen it with Osimhen, 100 million. Yeah. We've seen it with Tony, 100 million, or he's going nowhere. What's happened now? Look at them. Yeah. Tony's ended up going for 30 million or something, and Osimhen's at Galatasaray. It's all posturing from the club, trying to get as much as they can. But the trouble is, it's always, most of the time these days in transfers, the power was in the seller. Sorry, the buyer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you've got the player that wants to leave, especially if they're in a lower league, do you know what I mean? They've got the power, and if the player says he wants to go,
and he wants to go to only one club, that's where the selling club's in trouble. Exactly. As soon as they say that, which is why they can't really afford to be greedy these days, because players are wise to it, clubs are wise to it. And look at all the teams that have turned around and not sold their player for the 70s, the 80s, the 100s, when that offer's been on the table. Yeah. You can go as far back to Wilfred Zaha, end up leaving on the free.
It's
Ivan Toney end up getting 30 mil for him. Victor Osimhen has got a release clause of 70 mil, but I'd be interested. I was going to say I'd be interested to see after he comes back from Turkey, with what is a year left, and he's not going to sign a new contract. What are they going to do? So
and they're not no club, no from I mean, I don't even need to be told this. It's just no club's going to pay big money for Osimhen because his attitude stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? If anybody buys him, they're gonna not want to pay a lot of money. They know he's a good player, but they're gonna want to think, well, 6 months during the season, this guy starts playing up. Do you know what I mean? And I think he'll end up going for someone like 40 million or something like that. They genuinely do.
Yeah.
They generally do these days, especially once a player got his heart set on leaving, he hasn't got a club to go. Then as I've already said there, the power was in the in the buyer. But
Steve with his normal. Do you know what? I am pretty sure Steve's missus pulls out the internet when it gets to 9 o'clock, and that's like a sign to say time to wind up. Time to wind up. Time to wrap it up, Steve. I'll put it back in. I'll put the internet back on for 5 minutes, but it's time to wrap it up.
But no, to say they're going to continue scouting him, and he seems to be the guy for me. But that they like, and I like him as well. He's someone that I like. So let's just keep an eye. There's so many things that can go. That needs to happen when a transfer. People seem to think that, you just go to the club and you buy them and you want them and they come. Mm-hmm. There's a lot
more to it.
There's different sort of things that you have to go through, and yeah, I mean, there's a lot to it. You know, I mean, David Ornstein's biggest transfer guy out there. He'll tell you that, you know, it ain't that easy. It ain't just a matter of like, oh, you know, why haven't we bought someone? You know, it's certainly not that simple. You know, as you know, there's a lot doing it. I'd have to say there's a lot more to it than saying, here's the money. You know, you'll come to us. There's tons of things that can go wrong, and there's got to be done before, you know, the signatures finally sort of signed. But yeah, it's one is to look out for, and yeah, just hope he don't. Hopefully, he's not playing against us when we.
Well,
when we meet
I'd like him to play, but I'd also like to. It's a catch-22.
Yeah, I see what
you want to see him do.
Yeah.
You want to see how well he does against our defence, but you then, on the flip side, you don't want him to score.
There's plenty of Champions League matches.
There's plenty of games we can play well. Just don't pick our one. And unsurprisingly, last one is rumours that Paris Saint-Germain, Real Madrid are going to make a move for these two in the summer. A double bid for Arsenal's 2 centre-back warriors.
Yeah.
So put it to bed for Arsenal fans.
No, yeah. Look, I haven't deeply looked into this lately. I have spoken to a couple of people early in the summer, and I did do a story which was combined with Haaland and Saliba. And look, it's Real Madrid. You know, they certainly would take Saliba and Haaland, and obviously they have had conversations to go from them. But again, it's like I said, you know, this is something they're not for sale. They're simply not for sale, and at any price. So yeah, I can, you know, Arsenal fans can rest easy, you know, on this one. These two, from what I know, I mean, Gabriel. I heard somewhere today that they're already, you know, talking to him about a new contract, extending his contract. So, yeah, look, this is normal. There is interest from Real Madrid for Saliba. I didn't really know about Gabriel, but he's not for sale. He doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to go. He's happy at Arsenal. And yeah, hopefully he should be there for many years to come. And yeah, for me, he's yeah. I don't think it's an exaggeration now to say that he's possibly, I mean, the best centre back in the world. You know, he's definitely he's in that conversation.
Well, I've heard many Arsenal fans who have been fans for a long while say that the Saliba and Gabriel's one of the best Arsenal pairing they've ever seen, and they're talking about I think they were biggest fans of Campbell and Toure and Campbell and Tony Adams. So to put these even in a conversation with those four. Says a lot about how well they're doing, and now it's about consistency over the years to even be in. I
think if Saliba goes on and on this trajectory and continues the way he is, I mean, as I say, I already think he's in the conversation of the best centre back in the world now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think probably now he could easily be, you know, make the best Arsenal team of all time. You know, very, very, very easily. You know, he's definitely on that road. Tony Adams is a different type of centre back than Saliba as well. You know, he's more your rough and tumble. He was more your Gabriel for me, wasn't he? Do you know what I mean? He was more like that. And yeah, you're looking at Saliba, you look at Gabriel, and then you're looking at Adams and possibly Sol Campbell. You know. But Sol Campbell, he probably obviously wasn't there that long, although he was a monster.
Yeah.
There's definitely, with these new players that are coming along now, you know, the greatest Arsenal team
when you're looking at the consistency, and the level that they're actually at and what they're doing, it's hard not to have those conversations, but that's for another pod.
Trouble is, we got two of the greatest of all time, and they will take some shifting, won't they?
They definitely will. It'd be nice to find another Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp.
Can't lie
about one. Maybe a little Ian Wright, but maybe I'm being greedy, and I don't want to do that. I don't.
Perez as well. I'll tell you what. Just before we go, this has been brought up today, and it was brought up a little while ago. What did you think about Perez saying about Saka and Doku?
About Doku?
Yeah. Did you hear it first?
I don't know. Do you know what? I feel like sometimes these Arsenal players have been told to say something a little bit different so they can sort of, it will help with boost their profile a bit. Like, it didn't make sense to me. Like, you're trying to compare Doku, who looks like an exciting prospect. He looks like he needs to tidy up his game a little bit more in terms of maybe less step overs and more end product. But like, look, I get a little bit of what he's talking about. If you're talking about the flair, Saka's not that sort of player. So if you're looking at a flary winger, then. But I do think that Saka's got some of that in his game, because I feel like I saw some of that towards the end of last season. I saw it at the start of this season. Yeah. But Saka just doesn't mess around with those sorts of things. He doesn't do the flip flaps and the 15 step overs when no one's standing around him. So look, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but your opinion's wrong, Robert. And I'm not going to hate you for it, but your opinion's wrong.
Yeah, it surprised me really, because to me, I mean. You know, Thierry. I mean, my favourite art. I mean, Bergkamp's my guy, isn't he? You know, he's always been my guy. You know, people who watch the show won't be shocked to hear that. But Perez has always been up there with the not as good as.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think he's underrated.
So I was shocked.
Yeah. And a lot of these Arsenal fans, the young Arsenal fans, are always in the comment section, will say stupid things like, "You're not fit to lace Saka's boots, mate." It's like, all right, calm yourself down.
Well, the only thing, one thing that did surprise me, mate, was that it was like, to me, Perez is more like Saka than Doku.
What I would say is, I think
he's not like Doku, is he?
No, Perez, I don't think he's like Doku, but I don't think Saka. I don't think Perez is anything like Saka.
Yeah, I hear you.
Perez is more like a Grealish. Like he wasn't the fastest, but what he did is his burst of pace and his intelligence on the ball always had that yard ahead of someone. He'd drop a shoulder, send them that way, and then use his burst of pace to then cut across them. So you didn't need the pace. You didn't need the strength, because he was so intelligent. Like he was a cultured winger, and there's many of those around. It's not Doku. He's definitely not a Doku.
That's I think you're absolutely spot on. I said he was more like Saka, but he isn't like Saka. If you know what I mean?
He's not.
But Grealish, mate, that is you've smashed that out of the park. That's a great comparison. I mean, don't get me wrong.
It's not Jack Grealish. It's not a Robert Perez, but the way that Jack Grealish slows his pace down and then uses his burst of pace to take on a man was very much like what Perez used to do, and he's cultured in ways that he'd just scoop a ball over two defenders and put it on the penalty spot for someone to put it in. That's not Saka's game. game. So I can understand a little bit why he may be endeared more to a player that's like
something he
visually, a bit more. But even so, a bit more visually exciting,
pleasing on the eye.
Where Saka, people will still say, people are waiting to say that Saka's not all that. Saka's not all this, but then they watch him over a few games, or with England, they go, actually, do you know what? I was wrong about Saka. Like he is the actual nuts. He may be a player that's quite predictable in terms of where he's going to go, but you just can't stop him. Robin was like that. Robin, you knew he was going to put it on his left. You knew he was going to do it to the left, and as soon as he found a gap, he was going to try and wrap it in the goal. And 8 times out of 10, he would do that. He'd find that space and he'd put it on target.
Would you say Doku's more of an Overmars? But then Overmars was just like
Overmars was pace.
Yeah, exactly that.
I'd say Saka's more closer to Overmars. I'd say that.
Overmars is pure pace, is it? He was incredibly quick.
Doku's. I don't want to. I was going to say someone better. I'd get crucified for saying that. I was going to say like a JJ Okocha, but JJ Okocha is so much better than, and JJ Okocha's got more tricks and he's a more showpiece. Whereas Doku is a little bit like Alan St. Maximum, if I'm honest. Yeah, that's what he's like.
I'll tell you another player who's like another player who's similar to sort of Pires was. Hold on, is he? I've got to be careful what I say. David Ginola.
Oh yeah, no, that's fair. That's fair.
Saying like
100%.
Not quick. He was like
crafty. Yeah.
Grealishy, Pirisy.
The French.
It
must be in their blood. Yeah. The French have some way of pace doesn't necessarily matter. Remember Christophe Dugarry? He went to Birmingham.
Yeah, number 9, wasn't he? Was he wearing?
And he weren't pacey, weren't overly strong. Was a long beanpole of a striker, but his footwork and he found space. He found the net. Like they're just very intelligent. There's a different way of playing football. So they weren't the fastest of players. Look what he used to do. It was that drop a shoulder. Ball mastery, it's things like that. So
Merson as well, to be honest with you.
Paul Merson, yeah. But he had that little bit of pace.
Yeah,
but he was such a good footballer, Merson. So he had it. He had it all. Yeah. But again, this is another past podcast, and probably with Melvin, we're talking about all these old players. Thank you very much for everyone who's joined us in the show tonight. Sheepo, thank you very much for getting in the comment section. Of course, before we do go. We saw it last night, and we're going to see it again. Nico needs his flowers.
It's quality, though.
I love
quality. I thought it was last night when you did it. I thought it was Jorginho at first. I was like, could put my contact lenses in.
Nah, because they did it before when Havertz scored past Chelsea, and he posted that video of himself, didn't he, with the AI? So I thought,
it's clever the way they do it. I love it.
Until you see a video of yourself in an uncompromising situation, you got to explain to the missus what's going on. And you're like, it's AI! It's AI!
Yeah, what players come to these days? What's he doing? Look at that. Disgraceful. But yeah, he's certainly earned his money, isn't he? That guy.
He is. Nico is the man. Make sure you catch us every Monday and Tuesday at 8 o'clock for the Transfer Exchange show and the Arsenal show. Make sure you catch us for the post-match reaction of all the games for Arsenal. It will be a post-match reaction this weekend for the big game against Manchester City as well. Make sure you follow Steve K on Twitter for all the latest transfer news as well. Make sure you follow the Transfer Exchange show on Twitter as well for all the latest transfer news out there. If you are new to the show, press that like, press that subscribe button. And if you are regular, press that like button and press that share button. It's greatly appreciated. Yes, as we said before at the start of the show, North London is red and will always be red. Peace out, people. Stay safe and wash your hands.